All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of Rebooking Every SummerSlam. I know we're in September, but you know what? Still SummerSlam season to me. Um, so let's get on to it. And the show I'm gonna book is SummerSlam 2010, and I'll be honest, 2010 is probably one of the worst years in company history. You know, aside from a classic Shawn Taker rematch. We had Kane as World Heavyweight Champion. We had CM Punk getting squashed by the Big Show. We had Taker and Kane feud for the 50th time. And, Sheamus kind of overpushed. And so there were some issues in 2010. The one bright side was the Nexus did debut. But, you guys know what happened at this SummerSlam. Let me get into it. Here's the results. So, Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston ends in a no contest for the Intercontinental Championship. The iconic Melina defeats Alicia Fox. Shout out to Cameron. Then we got Big Show defeating the Straight Edge Society in a handicap match. Yeah, that's just awful. Randy Orton defeats Sheamus by disqualification. Yeah, not that good. I don't really like those two's chemistry. Then we got Kane defeating Rey Mysterio to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. And I believe that's when Undertaker returns and all that. And then we got Team WWE, John Cena, John Morrison, R-Truth, Bret, the Hitman Hart, Edge, Chris Jericho, and Daniel Bryan versus the Nexus. Wade Barrett, David Otunga, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, Darren Young, and Skip Sheffield, and also Michael Tarver. And this was when Daniel Bryan returned to join Team WWE. This is also when The Miz came and cost Daniel Bryan the match, eliminated him. And where John Cena came back against all odds, like usual, to defeat both Justin Gabriel and Wade Barrett and get the win for his team. And that was the start of the Nexus, and that was pretty much the end of the Nexus. So, I definitely think this show needs some work, and I'm excited to fix it up. So here we go. All right, the first match will be for the Divas Championship or Women's Championship. I don't even know what it was at the time. But it's going to be Melina defending against Michelle McCool. I guess the crutch of this feud will be, Michelle McCool will say, like, she's a much bigger star than Melina. I don't know why you guys are all cheering for her and all that. Melina could say, they're cheering for me because I'm the best women's wrestler and all that. She could brag and say, like, and I'm hotter than you. So, typical women storyline back in WWE. And, I'd have Michelle McCool win because she was pretty over as a heel with Lay Cool. So I'll give them the win. All right, next match. We got the Unified Tag Team Championship. I'd have Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre come in as champions versus John Morrison and R-Truth. So, there's not going to be much of a build here. I just think, Morrison and R-Truth, they become number one contenders. They may win like a tournament. And so it's going to be just typical tag team feud stuff. They fight. They have singles matches against one against each other. They cost each other a couple of matches and all that stuff. And so I think it would be a great match. You got four pretty good workers in there, Dolph and Drew. I actually named their team Chosen Perfection because Dolph was his theme song had like I Am Perfection, and then obviously Drew McIntyre, he was the chosen one, so that would be their name. And then John Morrison, R-Truth, they could be like the rock and rap connection or something because John Morrison, when he came out, he was like a rock star, and obviously R-Truth, he was hip hop guy. He rapped to the ring. We could also have Dolph and Drew, mock R-Truth and make their own rap song, which would be pretty funny. And I'd actually give John Morrison and R-Truth the win. And yeah, from there they could also feud with the Nexus over the tag titles. So I think it's good to have them win. All right, next match we got the Big Show versus Jack Swagger. So in my rebooking, Jack Swagger does not win Money in the Bank. He doesn't even win the world title, but he does feud with the Big Show. They did have a feud over the world title, and I would just save that for SummerSlam. Jack Swagger can say talk about his accolades and all that. Great amateur wrestler, great athletic background. And then the Big Show could come out and say, yeah, you did all that against high schoolers. How will you try that against me? So I think that would be the crutch of the feud. And you could even have Swagger, injure Show's ankle to get some momentum coming into the show. And I'll give Swagger the win because he was a young guy coming up. And yeah, only makes sense. All right, next match, we got the United States Championship match, Evan Bourne versus Sheamus. So I'd have Evan Bourne defeat The Miz for the U.S. title. And then, yeah, he could, Sheamus, again, just wins the number one contenders match. And the crutch of this feud would be, the high-flying quickness of Evan Bourne versus the power of Sheamus, Sheamus could have a couple of beatdowns on Evan Bourne, and also when Sheamus is in the match, Evan Bourne could come out of nowhere and hit the airborne on Sheamus. So that'll be a couple ways to build the feud. And yeah, I would have Sheamus win again in my rebooking timeline. Sheamus wouldn't become WWE champion. I don't think he was ready yet, and I think giving him a solid run with a mid-card title like the U.S. title would be good before eventually he gets into the main event scene. Next match, we got the Intercontinental Championship match, Kofi Kingston versus Christian. So, yeah, the crutch of this feud would be, Christian challenging Kofi Kingston because it's still a face versus face match, and Kofi could accept, and Christian could say, he's kind of jealous of Kofi Kingston because he was once seen as the future of the company, and then he wasn't the future. He eventually left, and now he's come back, and that he wants his spot back. And Kofi could talk about how to prove myself, I gotta beat one of the all-time greats like Christian. So it'll be a friendly match, but also there'll be some tension there because Christian's kind of jealous of Kofi's success, but also Kofi wants to prove himself to beat someone like Christian. So, and I'll give Kofi the win. I think it was super hot in 2010, and a mid-card title reign for him would be good. And we just keep it going. Next match, we got Chris Jericho versus The Miz, special guest referee Bret the Hitman Hart. So, The Miz and Bret Hart, obviously they had history, they had a feud. And also Bret Hart is Canadian, so Chris Jericho's Canadian as well. The Miz could start bashing Canadians like Bret Hart and all that, and Jericho could come out. This is where I'll have him turn face, and he'll cut the classic face promo like "Shut the hell up," and then Jericho could talk about how Miz is copying his gimmick. He's copying everything that he does because he wants to be like Chris Jericho. And The Miz could answer no, I don't want to be Chris Jericho because I'm better than Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, he claims to be great, but he wasn't even the greatest. He was never the man in the company like how I'm the man with the money in the bank. So stuff like that I think would be great. And yeah. And Bret Hart, he becomes special guest referee. Miz is obviously pissed about that. But, he says he's going to call it down the middle. And he does. And I'd have The Miz win by cheating. Maybe a foot on the rope or the tights. Bret doesn't see it because obviously he's not a real referee. So he's going to miss the call. And, Miz gets to win. Establishes him more as a main eventer as, he eventually will cash in down the line. So I think that would be good. And then we got Randy Orton versus Edge. I know they feuded earlier in the year, but I'd save it for SummerSlam. I'd have Rated RKO challenge Dolph and Drew at a pay-per-view and they lose. And that's when Edge snaps. He spears Randy. Says he's tired of carrying you. and he's tired of Randy being a failure to this company and all that, and yeah, and then he's like Edge is trying to get in his head, like, do you hear me, Randy? Like the real promo. And then I believe he went for a spear, and Randy just like RKO'd him out of nowhere. And then Randy starts to be psychotic, like he starts hitting random RKOs on Edge when he's not least expecting it, and Edge becomes a little paranoid about Randy. So yeah, I think it'll be a fun match, and I'll give Randy the win. I thought he was pretty over in 2010 as this like killer baby face, who doesn't talk much, who just like punts people, RKOs people. And yeah, give Randy the win. Should be a good match. Then we got the Road Heavyweight Championship match. Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk. Yes, so they did have a feud at WrestleMania 26. I'll keep that feud, and I'll have a couple matches on pay-per-view as well. But this will kind of be the blow-off match for the feud. Rey wins the Road Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank from Kane. I'll get to that later, how that happens. And CM Punk, he becomes number one contender. And in my rebooking, there'll be 1-1 apiece on pay-per-view. So CM Punk can be like, hey, we're tied 1-1. Let's have the rubber match. I want the Road Heavyweight Championship. And this is where I'd have CM Punk shave his hair. I would save that, he did get his hair shaved earlier than this, but I'll save that for here. Rey says, yeah, on one condition, my title versus your hair. And then, and then CM Punk talking about, again, being straight edge and how, like, Rey Mysterio, he loves the crowd, he loves the hype, he probably takes, something to get his adrenaline going, but I don't because I'm straight edge, I'm CM Punk. And then you could have, like, straight edge society jump Rey Mysterio and all that to build heat for Punk. And yeah, I'd actually give Rey to win, have him, maintain the Road Heavyweight Championship. And yeah, I think it'll be a good match. CM Punk obviously gets his head shaved at SummerSlam, which will be a great SummerSlam moment for sure. Then we got semi-main event, Hell in a Cell, The Undertaker versus Kane. I know what you're thinking. Didn't we have this match, a couple months after? Yeah, we did, but, in my rebooking, they just have one match, that's all. And we'll try to keep it short. They had like a trilogy of matches. That doesn't happen in mine. It just happens that one time at SummerSlam, Hell in a Cell, Undertaker versus Kane. Keep it short. Kane gets the win, finally, ending the feud with The Undertaker. I mean, it was hard to really think about who Taker could fight, considering there's a brand split. And, Kane was pretty hot coming off like a world title win. So, and I definitely think he deserved it. So it only made sense for, Kane to, for Kane to feud with Undertaker, because like there was really no one else for each other to fight. So yeah, should be. I mean, obviously it wasn't a good match in real life, but if I was rebooking it, I'll keep it much shorter. And that's the match. And then we got the main event, the WWE Championship match. We got a lumberjack match. You got Nexus outside, and Cena's picked a couple of people to have his back, and it's gonna be John Cena versus Wade Barrett for the WWE Championship. Yeah, same build. Wade Barrett. He debuts the Nexus and all that, and I believe at Money in the Bank, Cena, he defends the title against Sheamus. I actually won't have Sheamus beat him. I'd have Cena defend. And yeah, Wade Barrett can talk about he wants change in the WWE, and he has to start at the top with John Cena. And Wade Barrett can say that by winning NXT, he said he was guaranteed any title match he wanted, and that he was cashing in at SummerSlam. So again, I don't think that was a real stipulation, but you might as well make it a real stipulation. And Wade Barrett gets a title shot, and he chooses SummerSlam. And then Cena says, I know you're going to have your Nexus buddy out there, so I'm going to choose some people, and we're going to have a lumberjack match. So, Nexus could brawl with Cena's lumberjacks and all that stuff. to build the feud. And yeah, Cena could be like, there's a thing with punks like you that think you could take me down so easily without putting in the work. I never quit for this company and all that, and a bunch of rookies ain't gonna make me quit. It's gonna make me stronger. And, the typical Cena promos and all that. And yeah, this is how I'll have the match go. So yeah, like all the lumberjacks are brawling. Cena and Barrett are in the ring, and then a masked man comes in the ring. Looks like he's gonna hit Barrett, but no, he hits John Cena. Wade Barrett pins him. 1, 2, 3. We got a new WWE champion, and the man reveals himself to be Daniel Bryan. So Daniel Bryan is still in the Nexus. And yeah, again, I think it would be a great moment for SummerSlam. The coronation of Wade Barrett, probably one of the fastest rises in WWE history. The return of Daniel Bryan, and also keeping the Nexus strong. Because I believe Nexus would only work if Wade Barrett was a top dog, but Daniel Bryan was a second dog. Think of it as RVD in the Alliance, where everyone was cheering RVD. They wanted RVD to take on Austin and beat Austin up. And then you could have the same thing here where, Bryan, he becomes so beloved in his run with the Nexus that eventually he'll turn on Wade Barrett. It'll be a big moment, and they can have, a great blow-off match, whether you want it for the title or not. But yeah, I think just also to keep the Nexus strong, because, let's be honest, like Michael Tarver and Darren Young, they weren't really going to cut it. You needed couple of names, and Daniel Bryan was definitely a name, and he'd keep the Nexus strong and also build a storyline to eventually when he, splits off and feuds with Wade Barrett. And then we could even have like Cena and Bryan feud after this as well. And honestly, this is how I would have the Nexus, and I would have, Team Cena versus Team Nexus at Survivor Series. So don't rush it till SummerSlam. Have it at Survivor Series, and it only makes sense. So yeah, guys, that is my card for SummerSlam. Let me know what you guys think. Let me run down through the card right now. So we got the Women's Championship match, Melina versus Michelle McCool. We got the Unified Tag Team Championship match, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Chosen Perfection versus John Morrison, R-Truth. The Rock and Rap Connection. Then we got the Big Show versus Jack Swagger. For the United States Championship, Evan Bourne versus Sheamus. For the Intercontinental Championship, Kofi Kingston versus Christian. Special guest referee Bret Hart for Chris Jericho versus The Miz. Randy Orton versus Edge. The World Heavyweight Championship, Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk title versus hair. Hell in a Cell, The Undertaker versus Kane. And for the WWE Championship in a lumberjack match, John Cena versus Wade Barrett. So thank you guys for listening, and peace.